Good morning and welcome to the Zoom service of UUCC, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua. UUCC is a congregation that fosters personal and spiritual growth through religious exploration in search of the truth while celebrating diversity and affirming the worth and dignity of every person. We are glad that you are here joining us. I'm Danielle Lyon, your worship coordinator for today, also working with Thomas Lyon. Our speaker today is our own Pat Harris, retired educator, published author, your worship coordinator over the past few years, and now board member. A few announcements for this morning, and we'll drop the links in the chat as soon as we finish. The July board meeting will be today at 11:15 following the service. If you're interested in attending and don't have login information yet, please let Brandon know. After worship today from 12 to 3, although it looks like it'll be a little bit rainy, we're invited to the Rika Zero Waste, Bring Your Own Everything Family Picnic. That's hosted by Rochester Area Interfaith Climate Action, and there is a link to RSVP. The Team 6, which used to be known as the Social and Environmental Justice Committee, but is now renamed in honor of our 6th principal, will continue to meet every other Friday on Zoom at 6:30 p.m. So they are on for this week, and we'll be kind of getting ready and jazzed up in preparation for our Walk for Migrant Justice, which is happening next Saturday. The plan is to walk along from Twisted Rail Brewing Company at the east side of Kershaw Park over to the pier and back, and then we will enjoy a picnic together at around 12:30 is when we expect to be back. Bring your own everything, picnic lunch on the lawn. And we'll have a link to our team page. If you are unable to walk with us but would like to donate, that is appreciated. And if you'd just like to learn more about it, that is good too. If you have announcements for upcoming weeks, please send an email to Thomas Lyon at tflyon@gmail.com. And now we will enter a space for worship. Oh, Pat, you're muted.
Yes.
You're on.
We gather
This hour. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows.
I'm going to start again. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. Our opening words today are, of course, going to have to be about miracle. There are two definitions of miracle. The first is an extraordinary event manifesting divine intervention in human affairs. Many religions have writings that support this idea of divine intervention. In the Bible, both the Old Testament and the New include stories about many miracles. A few miracles from the Old Testament that you may know are the Red Sea is parted to allow the Israelites to escape. The walls of Jericho fall. Daniel is saved from being eaten by the lions. And from the New Testament, I'll just mention a couple that you probably know. Jesus changed water into wine. And Jesus fed at least, now you have to be careful. Some people say 2,000 and some people say 5,000 people. with 5 loaves of bread. Now, that's the first definition. A second definition of miracles is an extremely outstanding or unusual event, thing, or accomplishment. And for this, I want to share 2 poems. The first one is by Ramesh, and it's called, Are You Waiting for a Miracle? Are you waiting for a miracle? For divine intervention? For angelic encounters? To walk on the water? When you look into the eyes of your child, you are looking at a miracle. When you smell the hair of your little one, you are smelling a miracle. And when you feel the warmth of a friend, you are feeling a miracle. Pretty eyes of the impala, colors of butterflies, delicate flowers, sweet fruits, thorny cactuses, baby in the womb, healing hands of a doctor, cookies baked by a mother, planes built by a father. It is the love we have in our heart, the power to do impossible and still be humble. Why do you look skyward when the miracle is in you? Why do you wait for the miracle while the miracle is you? The second poem is Miracles, and it's by Walt Whitman, and some of you may know this one pretty well. Why, who makes much of a miracle? As to me, I know of nothing else but miracles. Whether I walk the streets of Manhattan or dart my sight over the roofs of houses toward the sky, or wade with naked feet along the beach just in the edge of the water, or stand under trees in the woods, or talk by day with anyone I love, or sleep in the bed at night with anyone I love, or sit at a table at dinner with the rest, or look at strangers opposite me riding in the car, or watch honeybees busy around the hive of a summer forenoon, or animals feeding in the fields, or birds, or the wonderfulness of insects in the air, or the wonderfulness of the sundown, or of the stars shining so quiet and bright, or the exquisite, delicate, thin curve of the new moon in spring. These with the rest, one and all, are to me miracles, the whole referring yet each distinct and in its place. To me, every hour of the light and the dark is a miracle. Every cubic inch of space is a miracle. Every square yard of the surface of the earth is spread with the same. Every foot of the interior swarms with the same. To me, the sea is a continual miracle. The fishes that swim, the rocks, the motion of the waves, the ships with men in them. What strangers miracles are there? Clearly you can see from these 2 poems and from the quotes from biblical material that there are 2 different views about miracles. One proclaiming the action of direct divine intervention or intervention through disciples of the divine, and one supporting the recognition of miracles that are from events and from nature and maybe from ourselves. You may be wondering where I stand on miracles. But it's much more important. The question is where you stand on miracles. And maybe that's one reason we come together as a church community, to share the many ways in which we each interact with the ideas set before us, particularly when those ideas are clearly related to our spiritual development. So in the opening words, and now we will go to the opening song. I'm going to be sharing my screen for a video.
a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
We are a community that holds one another in our celebrations and our pain. Please share your joys and sorrows in the chat box in Zoom. And if you're watching later, please know that we are still with you. All right. For the joys and sorrows shared and those held in our hearts, know that we are with you. Especially want to recall what was shared today about passings, new births, family coming together, travel, the joys of seasons and our great soils, and so many other things. Know that we are with you and you are held in our hearts.
Now is the time in our service to join together in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts support our church in its work. That work is summarized in our covenant. The covenant for UUCC says, In service of the values that unite us, we will recognize the inherent value of each person, foster a community of compassion and caring for all, value our diverse opinions, and engage respectfully in all interactions. If you would like to give to this morning's offering, you can give online at canandaiguauu.org/connect or physically by mailing a check to the church. In either case, note if you'd like your gift to go toward the Sunday offering or your pledge. We'll share 25% of the Sunday offering with our monthly service partner. This month, our service partner is The Spot, run by our own Sarah Chilson. They provide free school supplies, clothing, shoes, personal care items, and food support to children in need right here in Canandaigua. They believe that they can help children reach their full potential in and out of the classroom by providing for these basic needs. As an opportunity to get to know our service partner more deeply, please consider joining The Spot on July 24th to help with their annual backpack distribution. You can sign up to help with a link that I'll post in the chat and share privately with your friends, but please don't post publicly like on Facebook. Now we will be moving back to Pat for our centering and meditation.
I have a sensory reflection that I've adapted. It's by Claudine Oliver, and it was found on the UUA site. I want to invite you to take a deep breath into the present moment. And if you can do it and are willing to do the motions that I'm going to suggest, I would like you to participate. They're relatively easy motions, and I would like you to join me for a short time in this interactive meditation. Spirit of love, God of many names, we enter into this time of centering and sensory reflection. Let us shake out our arms and our hands and rest them by our sides. Let us shake out our legs and our feet and plant them on the floor. Let us stretch our heads high. Let us take a deep breath of thankfulness. Let us touch our eyes, happy to have the beauty of colors, line, and shapes. Let us imagine the beauty of the world, the flowers, the trees, the babies, the puppies, all the things in which we delight. Let us touch our ears. Through them we hear glorious sounds, happy ones and sad ones, beautiful songs and lonely cries. Let us listen well so that we may live fully. Let us touch our lips. For through these lips we receive the food and drink that nourishes us and helps us grow, and we speak the words that express our thoughts and feelings. Let us touch our hearts, for it is in our hearts that we know and share love. Let us feel the world around us in our imagination. Let us experience the wind that cools us, the sun that warms us, and the rain that nourishes the earth and cleanses us all. The beauty of life is all around us. Let us softly say, each in our own way, thank you. And now we can reflect in the silence on our own thank yous. can tell, maybe, from my opening words, that for me, miracles come in all sizes and all shapes. Probably the two most important forms of miracles for me are the miracles of nature and the miracles of imagination. I have some pictures that I want to share with you. If I can get them to come up. I'm going to share them. Here's the first one that I want to share. These are boulders that are formed when rocks were under an ocean. I've taken this picture and the one that follows it to capture some of what I feel when I'm confronted with the miracles of nature and imagination. These pictures, by the way, were taken at Allegheny National Park at Thunder Rocks. The second picture shows the wear and tear of river water and rain when the ocean was gone and the rocks were exposed to those kinds of elements. Now, all the miracles of nature never fail to astound me and lead me to think of the miracles of life. The contrast in the pictures I captured lead me to consider the longevity of life and the changes years can bring. In the case of the boulders in the pictures, the changes eons can bring, and the changes that both big, powerful forces and steady, smaller forces can bring. Big changes in life may leave behind huge boulders of emotion that last a lifetime. Marriage, the birth of a child, the death of a loved one are some of those big changes. And like the boulders that are still around long after the ocean waters receded, the emotions don't leave when the event is past. And just as the boulders can be magnificent and awe-inspiring and miracles, they can also be somewhat forbidding and frightening. The emotions left behind by significant life events can be the same. I've experienced marriage, birth of children, and the death of loved ones. And I can say the emotions that came with each were both awe-inspiring, like miracles should be, and a little frightening. With marriage came the wonder of beginning a new life and sharing my living space and my head space with this person that I love. But so many new things to face. A new living space that I had been creating for us just a few days before the wedding, and the worry that that space might not really work for both of us. Would sharing one bed with someone really work? Whitman thought so. Because I knew my new husband could not cook at all, would my cooking skills be up to pleasing us both? Would the new huge stereo speakers we had yet to take to the new space fit in? Would the sound of the music overpower the space? Yes, all of these might be considered only a little frightening, but still they were emotions to be dealt with, even in the face of the awe generated by the wedding day. The wedding day being the miracle. The birth of children, a miracle, also brings both awe and concern. Just the miracle of birth process itself brings both emotions. I was so ready to deliver my first child, something that I had not been expected to do for over 10 years. But I was a little concerned about the birth process itself. My concerns were not, it turned out, unfounded. My daughter had her cord trapped around her neck, and the fetal monitoring system showed her breathing stop with every contraction. Drugs were given to me to speed up delivery. I had a negative reaction to the drugs, and I almost died from the reaction. That process was a miracle, but it was also frightening. And after all of that, I held my long-awaited daughter. After the birth process was over, new concerns, maybe little ones, moved to the forefront in addressing this miracle. Would I be a good mother? That was the number one for me. I really couldn't at that point decide what a good mother was, but it was what I wanted to be. Other concerns arose. Would I have enough milk to allow this new child to survive? Would I stay calm through all the crying that came with the problems created by the birth process? Of course, when the second child was to appear, my concerns with the birth process were even greater than the first time, but all went well in that process. I knew from more of what to expect when the new baby and I went home, so worries were less. I was surprised to learn that the miracle of becoming a mother was easier when there were no problems in the birth process and the baby and mother were not recovering from serious problems. The death of loved ones might be thought of to only bring negative emotions, but for me that was not the case. I've lost my father, my brother, my mother, and my husband to very different but serious illnesses. In each case, the deep emotions of grief were offset somewhat by the fact that death was a release from intolerable suffering on their part. My father had cancer, and the pain associated with that cancer could not be controlled. My mother could no longer breathe easily, and each breath was a gasp. My brother had a wasting disease that left him clear of mind, but unable to move any part of his body. And my husband had Lewy body's dementia that finally left him trapped in a cycle of violent confrontations with his hallucinations. So for me, the death of loved ones was also a release for them from suffering, and so I count it as a miracle. The steady, smaller forces of life also bring changes, like the rain that drips on the rocks and makes holes and patterns. They drip on our lives and weather us, so we have new pockets of insight into life. Children grow up, and the dynamics of our interactions with them change. Children leave home or come back after they have left, and the dealings within the house change. If one works outside the home, the dynamics within the job situation change, and with them comes increased or decreased satisfaction. Steady forces shape our lives, just as they shape the boulders left behind by the receding ocean. Now I want to share another picture with you. I should have taken the words off of this one. This is the miracle of imagination that I said was the second important kind of miracle for me. Now, I don't know if you can read the print, and that's okay. Our imagination can take us in many directions. It impacts how we think, how we create, and even what we do. And it says under the picture, the miracle of imagination, because I saw a man's face. And until I moved and changed the view, the man spoke to me. I don't know if you can see the man's face. Sometimes we know that we can see things because our imagination can lead to new things. You might remember that there's a picture of a vase and a woman, and when you're told to look at it and you look at it long enough, you see the person. I saw this person. Certainly it was imagination. Active imagination can lead us to problem solving, seeing possibilities where others don't see them. Imagination can lead to new inventions. The Apple computer started in a garage when two people imagined a new world powered by fairly inexpensive personal computers and worked to make that happen. Imagination can lead to social changes. Changes in South Africa's policy that kept people apart happened when a person with leadership qualities imagined a new structure. Imagination can help with the young child, can help that child develop through imaginative play. Children can develop their brains by having them engage in problem solving, and they can develop their social and language skills by having them act out a variety of new ways the events that they have experienced. Using our imagination can be powerful. The drawback to an active imagination is represented by the reaction some people would have to the caption I put on my picture. Most would not be upset by my seeing a man's face in a stack of boulders. You might not see what I see, but you've experienced that classic picture I mentioned, and so you may even know that your perception of that classic picture can be guided from one perspective to the other by words or suggestion or time. I could point out back in that picture again the forehead, the nose, the mouth, and the chin that I see when I look at this picture of boulders, and you might also see them. The last part of my caption, however, might give some problems. The man spoke to me. Now, actual words did not float from the mouth that I saw to my ear, or at least I don't think so. While I stood looking at the man in the stack of boulders, I didn't see his mouth move. Instead, I heard the message from my man in my head, or possibly in my heart, most probably in my imagination. In any case, the man I saw spoke to me, and I was confronted with a miracle I didn't expect. Yes, I saw a man, a he, rather than a woman or a genderless person. And that man imparted a message that I needed to hear. He spoke to me of the changes I was experiencing in my life and that I needed to do more than accept them. I needed to embrace those changes. He told me I needed not only to embrace the changes, but more importantly, I needed to acknowledge the emotions I was feeling. I needed to acknowledge that the changes had led to some feelings of guilt, some reduction in my level of confidence in myself, some second guessing of my actions, some regrets for actions I was not taking, and some fear of doing things I wanted to do. What an amazing message he sent me. It has taken me months to process the simple information that was given to me, and I'm not yet done with that processing. I've been working on the feelings of guilt, and they are mostly gone. I did have to recognize that my mother was incredible at increasing my feelings of guilt, and I did not have to let my inner voice take over her role. I still suffer from decreased confidence in myself, which leads to other emotions in the message from my man. Some second guessing of my actions, some regrets for actions I was not taking, and some fear of doing things I wanted to do. Those I'm trying to deal with by taking actions, but I've only been marginally successful. I still second guess myself but maybe much less often than I did a few months ago. While I'm trying to take actions I know I need to take so I can avoid the regrets for not taking the actions, I've not mastered that yet, particularly in some important personal areas of my life. I have decided that the lack of success relates a lot to the fear of doing some things I want to do. There are conversations I want to have that are not happening because I fear the results. Fear of the anger that may flow my way, fear of the total rejection of my wants and what I see as my needs, fear of the rejection of me because of the conversation. Just fear. There were trips that I want to take that are not happening yet because of what I see as I let too much time pass before taking action. Makes me uncomfortable. I fear the results of taking action so late. Fear of feeling that I'm now imposing. Fear of being told I don't come, don't bother. Fear of not recemmenting the connection that we had before or developing the new connection that I would like to develop. Not having a conversation I want to have and not making trips I want to take are just two examples of the actions facing me that came from the few words from my Boulder man. It is clear that the imagination that was at work when I saw what I see in my picture and heard when I stood silently and listened to the voice is having a lasting impact on my life. I guess I was listening, maybe, to the inside voice. I guess miracles are supposed to make lasting changes, even if those changes happen over time. All the miracles of nature and imagination never fail to astound me. And while the miracles of nature are around me all the time, and often make me reflect on the nature of life, the miracles of imagination elude me when I am too busy to take the time to be receptive. My best gift to myself in these days that come will be taking time to let the miracles of imagination happen, even as I enjoy the miracles of nature. Because we have a special event coming up now, right after the chalice lighting, I would like to forego the last hymn, although I love the music. Maybe I'll play just a couple of, I think I'll just forego the last hymn because the time for our new speaker is upon us, and I don't want us to run so late because we have a lot happening today. So if you know the hymn, Find a Stillness, please let it kind of vibrate through you now. Not only find the stillness, but be the stillness. Danielle is going to take us to Dorothy, who is going to be introducing our special speaker as soon as we undo the chalice. We extinguish this chalice. But not the joys, the sorrows, the miracles we bring with us in this hour of our worship. We don't extinguish the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.